Hey, Isabel. I got to close the door. I'll be right back. Hey, there we go. Just want to make sure you can hear me okay. You can do a thumbs up or something. I assume it's all working right, but you hate to find out that my microphone's not working after everything's been recorded. So thanks for checking in today. Certainly, I don't expect students to show up for the live lecture session. Oh, thanks, Isabel. Apparently, it is working. There we go. Different people are jumping in. So I'm anxious to get us started today. I know it's officially our first day of our class. Management, strategic management, 50-10. I've put together some lecture slides because I want to make sure that our heads are kind of in the right place as we move into this. I've taught many different courses at operations level and at strategic level, and I think it's really good to go into it with the right mindset. And I think it makes the puzzle pieces all fit together. And as we go through the course week by week, we're going to get different pieces of that puzzle. And as we go to put them in, I think it's better that you can kind of picture what the finished puzzle is supposed to look like. And it makes a little bit more sense. So I'll kind of frame that out a little bit with my slides today. So I'm going to switch over to a share screen with the slides I put together. I'm not using the book slides that came with it. And I'm sorry, I'll try to keep track of everything at once. I got the chat moving over on the side, so chip in there. Go off mute if you want to, if you want to ask a specific question or there's anything that can help, because I know getting started smoothly during this first week is really important. So my intention with our time today was to give you some perspectives that I have on the materials that are in Module 1 to kind of guide you early on as you go through the reading, the quizzes, the assignment, and give you kind of some perspective that'll, I hope, make putting this together fairly straightforward. So give me just a second. As kind of was my concern, my morning meeting ran over till 1 o'clock. It was supposed to be done an hour ago, so I did not get a chance to open my slides. So let me open those, and then I'm going to attempt to share those so that can kind of guide us as we go through it. There we go. Okay, they did come up. Because I'm on a single laptop, I'm going to use the show. Let me see. No, I'm going to try to get this to work correctly. There we go. Give me just a second. I'll hit my share screen. Yeah. All right. It's showing. If somebody can, unfortunately, the chat and actually, Ismail, I can see you. You have your camera on. I appreciate that. Could you just wave if you're able to see my slides? Or you can go
Yes,
off my,
I see
yeah.
it. Hello, Doctor.
Oh, I'm not getting any audio
I
on
see
this
it.
end.
Are you hearing me?
Give me just a second. I'm going to adjust my
Hello.
microphone. I'm going to drop out of the show for a minute. I'll come back to that. Let me make sure that my speakers just turned down too low. There we go. Try that again. Everything look, oh, I'm going to try to display my slides again. And we'll get started. There we go. All right. Can you see the slides?
Yes. Yes.
You can see
I see it.
Hey, thanks. Okay. Let me dive into this. Appreciate it. I'm going to make sure the technology is actually working on this stuff. You go ahead and mute yourself a little bit because I think we're picking up some wind or something from the side. So first off, I wanted to get our perspective set right. we're going to be looking at strategic management, which has some specific nuances from operational management. And I come from an operations management background and then transitioned into more strategic management. But when we talk about operational management, and I think that's something we inherently will drift into because it's where our experience comes from. Operations management includes accounting, finance, supply chain, quality control. So operations management are the things that we need to do day to day in the business, and to use the term, to keep the trains running on time. You can't not be good at operational management and stay in business. So you need product on the shelves. You need systems that will allow your customers to check out. You need systems to collect money, revenue, and post it. And you need accounting systems. So that's all operations management. And that's not what this course is about. This course is about strategic management. Well, operations management is not optional. It's not the focus of this course. And we'll be continuing to shift back because operational management is how we get things done, but then we got to put our strategic hats back on. So this course is going to be primarily 90% focused on the strategic management. And when I use the term strategic management, what I mean is the long-term focus, and long-term for business these days, I would say is more in the 3 to 5 year range. So when we're looking at strategic issues, and I'll use the college as an example, because right now I'm associate dean in the College of Business. Operationally, we need to schedule courses. We just finished up transfer advising, so we need to get new customers, new transfer students into the pipeline. They need to register for courses. We need to assign faculty to courses. We need to build schedules. We need to pay those faculty. And those operational issues have to be addressed. But at the same time, someone in the organization, and this is my role primarily here at Kane, has to be in charge of the strategic portion, because we also need to be looking down the road and say, well, okay, we're teaching our courses, but 3 to 5 years from now, what do we need to be doing to be successful? Because if we're not continuing to move forward into new space, how are we going to expand our programs, our enrollments? What new programs do we need to develop? Do we need to open new locations? Those are strategic issues. And if we don't address those, then we're going to be 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, and suddenly realize that our business is gone. Our customers have gone other places. Our programs are outdated, and we basically have failed. So I think of it as plate spinning is my job. I need to make sure the schedules are in place, the students are enrolled. We're doing our recruiting events. We're assessing our faculty. We're doing all those things. And are we doing stuff that is going to get us ready for the future? And just be constantly back and forth in that. So our focus is to help you understand the elements of what it takes to successfully manage the strategic portion of the business. So, little definition, and this came out of the book. The textbook we're using is by McGraw-Hill. McGraw-Hill is my favorite publisher because I think they write things in ways that students understand, and then they give us examples and applications so we understand how it's used. So I'll borrow from the text wherever I think it's appropriate. So a company's strategy is a coordinated set of actions that its managers take in order to outperform the competitors and achieve superior profitability. The word that's missing from there is that future aspect. And so I think the book kind of fell short on that, but that's okay. That's what my job comes in. And they brought in some important elements that we'll unpack later this week and into next week, and that is competition. So not only do we need to be doing things better for our operation, we need to do that in relation to the moves that I anticipate my competitors are going to be making. So for a College of Business, you probably looked at other options. So what is Strayer doing? What is Walden doing? What's Montclair doing? What's Rutgers doing? Those are my competitors where my students could be going either place. I want them to come here. I need to not only be improving my offerings, but I need to be anticipating what their offerings are, that I will continue to be more attractive. So kind of that's kind of where we want to go with this. These terms get a lot of play. And so I'm watching this, just so you know how I'm operating this. I'm watching my slides. I'm also got a little bit of an eye on the chat to watch if anything pops up. And also I'm watching my participants. So if you raise your hand, if you have a question or have an example, I should be able to see that and I'll switch over to you. Mission, vision, and values. These get a lot of play, but I can't underemphasize how important these are. Somebody needs to do this because if we don't have these down and cleanly and correctly, we lose sight of who we are. Because this is in case you didn't notice, this is a really tumultuous time. Global politics have gone crazy. The economy is kind of teetering. Our exchange with international competitors is in a very strange place. So if we aren't clear on what our mission and our strategic vision and our values are, we can really get lost in that. So companies spend a lot of time on these statements. We're going to look at some of them. Your homework assignment has to do with evaluating some of these. So let me just go through these a little bit, and then I have an example we'll take a look at. So mission. This course will not be very mission focused because mission is a statement of who we are right now. Who are we? Why are we here? What do we do? And some people will say when you're developing your mission statement, you can ask the question, if I disappeared tomorrow, who would care? Which way to look at it, but it's not a bad answer, especially when you're looking at yourself as a college of business at Kane University in Union, New Jersey. If we close the business program tomorrow, what difference would it make? Would it matter? And I would say it make a big difference, and that's the mission. So our mission is who we are and what we do now. So mission is very now focused. Strategic vision is a separate statement, and that really talks about where we want to be in the future. Who do we think we should be? What do we think the future is going to look like that we will be a contributor to? That's where a lot of our focus is going to be in this course, because our strategic vision is where we want to be, and that's 3 to 5 years out. And in addition to that, what will we need to do in order to get there? So strategic vision will inform our strategic plan. So our strategic plan is going to help us do things today that'll make sure that we're who we want to be in the future. Let me touch on one last one, then I'll circle back. Values identify what we believe is important. So values can be very simple, and I'll show you ours at the College of Business. And if you think about different companies, think about Amazon. They may or may not list their values on their website. They may not, but we've dealt with Amazon. What would we think is important to them? I would say variety of product choices, ability to deliver fast service, low prices, what else? Convenience, technology convenience is important. So there's things, but I wouldn't necessarily say integrity is something that defines Amazon. Social responsibility, maybe, except every time I order something, I enter this little tiny item and it comes in a box this big. That's not socially responsible. That's wasting materials. That's wasting space. That's wasting time. That's wasting fuel. So our values should really be part of our DNA, and it should be reflected in everything we do. So having these 3 things down in writing helps us with our decision making. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Why are we going to do it? Do they fit with our values and our mission and where we see ourselves going? So there's lots of ways to see if these work. And what you should see through the homework assignment this week is that most organizations pretty much fail in this, and they could do a better job of it. So the missions are often messy, the strategic vision is unclear, and the values aren't consistent with who they really are. So that's our job to parse out. But think about this also. You should be already thinking, how can I apply this? Think about where you work, whether that's Chipotle or Johnson & Johnson or Merck or the City of Union, City of Elizabeth, whatever organization you're with, you should be able to think about what their mission, vision, and values would be. And if that's too much of a stretch, you could even think about your personal mission. Why am I here? What do I contribute? Why do I make a difference? That's your mission. Your strategic vision is, who do you want to be? You're taking this degree in order to probably progress in some way in your future. So 3 years from now, 4 years from now, where do you see yourself? What kind of job do you see yourself in? What kind of organization do you want to be working in? You should be able to list out your personal values. What's important to you? Family, integrity, always learning new things. What's really important? So we should be able to apply these to a nonprofit organization, a municipal organization, a corporation, an individual, or your book club that meets once a week. If you had these things laid out, any of those organizations or individuals would be better off. All right, let me show you ours. This is Kane CBPM. This was developed about 5 years ago, so it's up for revision right now. It's one of my major projects. So we'll use this a few times during the semester because by the end of the semester, I actually need to have a new one ready for the university. So our mission statement for the Kane College of Business and Public Management: we transform diverse students into impactful global community members through engaged learning, excellence in teaching, research, and service by providing leading-edge management programs in a world-class, innovative, and inclusive environment throughout our regions. It's like, I think it defines us. It's actually not inaccurate, but it certainly is not going to be something anyone would ever remember. It wouldn't be something people would point to. It wouldn't be something that inherently a decision would be made and say, well, does that fit our mission? So I'd say this is a little too cumbersome. If you have any thoughts on that, you can throw it into the chat or jump in. But it doesn't, it's not wrong. You know, we do transform diverse students. We can look at our student population. We have students of all different combinations and experiences and backgrounds. We are global community members. We have our China campus. We do take our teaching really seriously. Where your experience may be different from that, our research we take very seriously. Service, I don't know that an outside person could look at this and go, well, what service do you do? So we should be careful about using terms that people don't understand. What's a leading edge management program look like? We might be okay on that. World class, how do you measure world class? Innovative, maybe. Inclusive, hopefully, because we have such a diverse population. But a key item is throughout our regions. I think that's dead on because we have China, we have Union, we have Ocean, and pretty soon we'll have Jersey City. So think about that. That is our official mission statement, but I hope we can do a better one. Our vision statement. This is what we see ourselves in the future. We aspire to be the college of choice in our regions. You chose us. You're taking our courses. Hopefully you're taking our degree. So are we really the college of choice in our region, or do people prefer to go somewhere else? Recognized for global orientation, professional experiential learning. We need to answer, are we really delivering on that? What can we do to deliver on that better into the future? And a steadfast commitment to diversity and inclusion. I would argue in this strategic vision statement is that it's not far enough bigger than what we are. This is kind of close to what we are, and we may need to dream a little bit bigger. Our values, I hope you see these and go, yeah, this is exactly what I experienced at Kane, because our students and our faculty and our staff should look at these and say, absolutely. And if that's not the case, we need to do some improvements, and possibly we should. Our values are excellence, so we should be doing these things very well. Our technology should work. Our courses should be strong. Our grading should be fair. We should deal with our students with integrity, and you should have integrity in your assignments and AI usage and so forth. Respect for each other, diversity, community, and social responsibility. They don't sound wrong to me, but maybe there's others. Maybe some of these should be removed. And so we'll unpack these some as we go in further into the course, and hopefully you can help me develop our next updated mission, vision, and values. I would also say, though, that our mission should never change much because it's who we are. And our values shouldn't change much because that's also who we are, and that's built out of our history and who we hire and who our leadership is. So we shouldn't see diametrically opposed things appearing, but we may find that, well, there's something missing from our values, or there's something missing. So it's kind of where this all comes from. This is something I would encourage you to use as a litmus test. This is proposed in the text, and it's really a good start, but I've got a better one I'm going to show you. But it's something to use. And I say a litmus test, I don't know, it's from my old chemistry days. A litmus test was a piece of paper you dipped into a chemical, and it told you if it was a base or an acid or so forth. So it's just a very basic test to tell you if things are good or bad. So anytime you see a mission statement, and please use this when you do your assignment on evaluating 3 companies. First question you should answer is does it fit? Is the vision appropriate for that company, or would you look at it and go, that doesn't sound anything like that company? Is it appropriate for what we're seeing internally and externally in the world today? Obviously, we're doing lots of global commerce these days. Does it address the global aspects? Does it address the competition? Does it address the legal changes that are going on in the world? So is this really appropriate? Number 2, sustainable competitive advantage. We'll unpack this more in the coming weeks. But does the vision statement put the organization in a place where they can not be beaten by the competition? What are they doing that's making them secure? And so when I use the term sustainable, I don't mean green. It can mean green, but I mean, can I hold on to my market share, or am I losing customers really fast because the competition has better pricing or better products or better locations or something, and I am going to be non-competitive? Or do I have the wrong products for the future? That's another big one. Third, performance test. Does your vision statement say something about the quality, the rigor of what you're going to deliver, or are you going to continue to deliver mediocre products into the future? Because chances are that's not going to satisfy your customers going forward. If any of you remember when you were kids, there was a car called a Yugo, YUGO. It was made in Yugoslavia. It was right after the Cold War ended, and it was basically a piece of crap. It cost you just a couple $1,000s, but it was 4 wheels and barely 4 seats. It met a price point, and some people bought them. They didn't last very long. But clearly that was not a strategy that was going to perform in the future. We all want affordable cars, and there are good affordable cars coming out that aren't garbage. So the performance test is really asking, are you really providing a valuable, a worthy product going forward? So I would encourage you, when you do your assignment this week, is find an organization. You can use the Red Cross, you can use any organization, you can use a company as your samples. Find their mission, find their vision, find their values. I would really suggest you can do a very simple bullet table on each one and answer these 3 questions. Would be a really good start to organizing that, rather than just writing a page of ramblings about it. Here's another one. In this week's material, there's a video suggested. I put the link here, but it's already in module 1, and it talks about what is strategic management. It's about a 15-minute video. They do a great job with it. I would say it would be worth taking a look at. But they propose 4 questions to test whether a vision is good. And it should answer, they recommend it should answer these 4 questions. Again, this could be a framework you use for your homework assignment. Does it clarify where we compete? I believe in the cane when it says something about regions. That is important. I'm not looking to attract students from Malaysia, North Korea, South Korea. I am looking to serve the students near where we are. We are in Wenzhou, China. We are in Toms River, New Jersey. We're in Union, New Jersey. Those are my primary areas that I serve. What unique value do we bring? At Kane, we bring, I believe, a very low cost, high value deliverable degree and education for students. We could argue about that. What resources and capabilities do we utilize? This is a little different. We haven't talked about this, but again, we're going to unpack that more over the next couple of weeks. what do we have that we can leverage is another way to look at this. And at Kane, we certainly have our location. We have phenomenal facilities at all three of those campuses. Um, Clean, modern, good technology. Are we utilizing that? And are we leveraging it into the future? And then again, how do we sustain our value? How do we continue to stay competitive? We really keep our tuition prices down. We sacrifice a lot to do that, but we are going to continue to do that. We're not going to build luxurious facilities. We're not going to, hand every student a laptop as they come in the door because it's all going to drive our costs up. But I think mix these four questions with the prior three to come up with your own little set. I think it would be a great approach to the assignment this week. I will post these slides separately later so you have them available. And I'll also post the recording, but I don't think you really want to listen to all this again. This is an important aspect. And I'll tell you because I came from Baltimore Gas and Electric. I worked 17 years there, did some strategic management with them. Then I came to higher ed, got my PhD in supply chain, been working in higher ed now for almost 17 years. And folks have continued to struggle with their vision statement and their strategic plan, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. They get caught up on, well, it's a 5-year strategic plan, so everything has to be perfect. And the world is changing way too fast right now. So our strategic plan and our vision need to be dynamic, not static. We need to be able to change it. So even though it's a 5-year plan, we need to reevaluate it each year and say, hey, did a new technology come out that we should be using? Did a new competitor come online? Did one of our competitors close up and go out of business? Things have changed. There's new policies, executive orders coming out of Washington every week. That's changing our external conditions. How are we going to respond to all these? So our plan and our execution need to be continually evolving. And I can tell you from my own experience, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, that was not the case. We had a strategic plan and we're just going to stick to it. We're not going to consider changing it. We're not going to modify it. We're just going to execute it. And the problem was you got 5 years down the line and you executed the wrong plan. There was a new technology and you ignored it and your competitor didn't, and now you're behind. And now you've lost market share. That's not how we can do it. And I want you to be aware of a term and get comfortable using it. That is clock speed. What is the clock speed of this industry? That means how quickly is the environment changing? And so for education, higher ed, the clock speed is reasonably slow in comparison. Things are changing. Certainly with the executive orders that are coming out of DC, the technologies that we're using are changing. So our clock speed is increasing, but there's institutional challenges with higher ed. If I had a lunch meeting this afternoon and we had the 8 most brilliant people in the region here from industry, from government, and from higher ed, and we sat together and we came up with the most incredible, life-changing, world-changing graduate program, master's level graduate program, and we wanted to launch it immediately, it would take 2 years before I could enroll the first student. That is a slow clock speed. Compared to think about Apple, when the folks from Apple sit together, if they don't already have the iPhone 20 in the planning stages, they're going to be behind their competitors because the clock speed in technology fields is about 6 weeks or 8 weeks. You need to be introducing new products. In higher ed, it's going to be 1 to 2 years. So that's what clock speed is all about. So definitely dynamic, not static. Let's talk a little bit about, let's see if I can get the screen right, how this works in a dynamic environment. So I'm working on a strategic plan right now for CBPM. It's due by September. And it's going to be a good plan. It's going to have some specific activities in it that we're going to do, new programs we're going to design, new locations we're going to open, all kinds of great things, great intentions. But then we're going to start executing it, and suddenly we're going to have to react. So emergent strategy, it means we're going to modify our plan strategy because we're going to have to react to some changes. There's going to be, really out of DC, the executive order could come in next week and say, no more exchanges with China. Well, we have a campus in China, And we exchange a lot of students with China, and we have researchers exchanging with China. And so if that suddenly changed, we would have to react to it. So that's a significant external change. Could be new technology, could be regulations, could be anything, but we're going to have to change. And that may force us to abandon, excuse me, some of our current initiatives. Deliberate strategy is proactive. And so while I would incorporate any anticipated changes that I have, a sudden opportunity might come online and we want to grab it. That's being proactive. So emergent and deliberate are things that are going to cause us to change our realized strategy. And if we, from what I mentioned earlier, if we just executed our planned strategy and didn't allow for these modifications, our end result 5 years from now is a failed strategy. What we really want is a realized successful strategy. And that's why, and this, we get in these arguments here, especially in higher ed, should we have a 1-year strategic plan, a 3-year, or a 5-year strategic plan? Never a 1-year, because it takes you too long to write it to start executing it. 3 years isn't bad, but 5 years is okay as long as you revisit it constantly to make sure you're adjusting. So we're going to have a 5-year plan here at Kane. Some companies, like a tech company or maybe even a pharmaceutical where there's a lot of high clock speed, would say, no, 3 years is about all we can look out. I would not disagree with that. But for us, being in higher ed, we know things, our implementation is slow, so it's at least 2 years to an implementation. That's after you identify it and develop it. So we're going to go with a 5-year plan, but whether you're 3 or whether you're 5 doesn't matter, as long as you're constantly monitoring and adjusting to make sure it's appropriate for your future. All right, this is a separate topic, but it's one we got to have in the back of our minds. It's introduced in the text, but I don't want to, I want to emphasize the importance of this value proposition. That is your customer's perspective. So you want to create, through your mission and your strategic plan and your strategic vision, a solid value proposition so that customers now and customers in the future will believe that there's a value to doing business with you. So value is perceived, and social media can change that to the positive or to the negative. News reports can change that. A world of things can change that because it's perception. It's what the customer believes, and we can violate that belief. So it's very important, and we can control that through our marketing and how we deliver our products. So we have some influence, but it's a customer perception. So it's out of our control in the outset. Price is a decision that we make. What are we going to charge for tuition? How much does Tesla charge for a new car? What's the new hybrid this going to cost? What are solar panels going to cost? So that's the price we're going to charge our customers. Cost is the actual payments that we incur. So what's it going to cost for the technology that we're using, Canvas? What's it going to cost for the facilities? What's it going to cost for the employees, the faculty, the staff, everything that we use? And so we can manage those costs by how we negotiate and what we purchase. But our profits come down to what is the price minus the cost. And the customers need to perceive that the value they get is equal to or greater than the price they're paying. So for me, looking at a new Lamborghini, I would say, wow, it's worth the money. I understand why it's $150,000, but the perceived value to me is not that much because I don't care what I drive. I want something that's reliable, and I want something that's fuel efficient and gets me where I need to go. So my value perception is going to be different than yours, different than each person's. But if my value of having it is lower than the price you're going to charge me, I'm going somewhere else. Core issue we got to take with us. Just keep it in the back of your mind. So take a deep breath. I know I just went a half an hour. It's hard to believe, but I get so excited about this stuff. Is anything from what I've thrown at you, percolates like, hold it. What did that mean? What am I supposed to do with that? I've got a few more slides to get at a couple issues from chapter 2, and then I'm done. So I'm watching. I don't see popping in the chat. I don't see anybody screaming on their windows. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into my last couple topics. And I'll still take questions at the end. So this is not part of the text. This is something I just want to throw at you. I read this book years ago. I just gave a copy of it to a friend of mine, a colleague. So let's talk about vision for a minute. And as you're looking at your vision assignment for this week, it's a book I recommend, High Altitude Leadership. It's really talking about leadership, but a lot of the book is actually about your mission and your vision. And one of the big takeaways from this book, I want to kind of crystallize for you, is the writers are mountain climbers, and I am not a mountain climber. I have a friend who's a mountain climber. I think he climbed Kilimanjaro over the summer, which is great. I love it. I'm never going to do it. But what they talk about is you can learn a lot about leadership by looking at the experience of climbing some of the highest peaks in the world. Great. But the takeaway for me that was really interesting and to me, and they said, when we're taking a group up Kilimanjaro, up K2, you name it, we very rarely, have anyone die on the way up, which, I can accept would be a very good thing, not having people die. But the reality is that several people have died on the way back down. And that to me was a really interesting concept, because those same people that made the climb, which is really rigorous, were alive, but they died on the way back down, which isn't as difficult. And the point of all that is that the vision that you have for your organization, it excites people, it energizes them, it gives them a laser focus. And when I think about climbing Kilimanjaro or K2 or any of the other major mountains, McKinley or you name it, you're laser focused. You want to achieve that. I'm going for the summit. We're going to work hard and we're pushing and we've got all of our gear and we got all this going. And I've seen that in organizations I've been at. We're trying to achieve something. Here at Kane University, we achieved AACSB accreditation 2 years ago. We achieved R2 certification this year. These were huge accomplishments, and people worked incredibly long hours and did way beyond what their work required in order for us to achieve that. And the message to me is, now that you've achieved it, you can't have a small vision for what's next, because people lose focus, they drift off, they go do other things, they get bored. And so our vision needs to always be stretching us to the next level. So one of the challenges, I would say, is you're looking at your assignment where you're evaluating a company's vision statement, is it really a stretch, or is it just doing business? Good book if you get a chance to read it. Not a long read, maybe 150 pages or so. It's available, I think, on Kindle as well as hard copy. But anyway, big takeaway from that. Spoiler alert. Beginning with the plan end in mind, our vision, strategic vision, is just part of our strategic plan. And so I don't like how the terms fit together. This is what I'm building this summer. Strategic vision and mission, which I just showed you. Objectives. We haven't talked about objectives. Objectives are specific things we're going to do that will achieve our strategic vision. So we are going to develop new graduate programs. I guarantee it. We've got 2 on the books right now that'll be released in the next year or so. We've got our MBA, we've got our accounting program. There's several more that are going to be coming out. Developing those, when are they going to be ready? What are they supposed to look like? Those are our objectives. So these will be specific things. I like to use the term initiatives rather than objectives. Objectives are often a little more high level, like increase our market share 8%, decrease our cost 4%, introduce 4 new graduate programs. Usually kind of high level numbers. Initiatives get into specifics. Where are you going to open? Where are you going to offer those programs? What market are those programs going to support? But objectives and initiatives are kind of bundled together. The strategy is then, how am I going to execute those? So I guess those initiatives kind of come in between objectives and strategy. Our values are the foundations of it because those we can't violate our values. We're not going to introduce something that goes against our grain. Think about Disney. If you can remember when you were a kid, all those Disney movies coming out, you know, Moana and all of those different family-friendly movies. Suddenly, Disney got bought by an organization that doesn't do family-friendly movies, and it really violates some of the foundational principles and values that we see of the Disney company. That can be really challenging for organizations. Sometimes you can make that transition and you can say, we're an entertainment company and we also make family friendly, but we also make some really good blood and guts, high action films. How do you sell that together without violating who you are? That's where we have to be careful about our objectives and our initiatives, that they stay within how customers see us, because this goes back to that perceived value. If we do something that's different from how you perceive us, you may leave us. So we can't ignore our values. All right. Couple wrap up items. Crafting your organization's vision statement. And we're going to get into building some of these, but I've already alluded to some of this. Number one, aspirational. Is it a stretch? Is it climbing K2? Is it really going to motivate people to, hey, I want to be a part of this? Think about volunteer groups. Maybe you've worked at a company or you've been in a group, even a sports league or a book club where it was just exciting and oh, we're going to read, you know, oh, I saw a guy on TV that he was going to read all, I don't know why anyone would do it. He was going to read all of Shakespeare's plays by the time he was 30. And that's pretty much of a stretch. I don't know why anyone would do that, but it was a stretch. I mean, that is a lot. I've been through like 4, and I hope I never have to read another one. I made up this word, so I don't think this word is actually in existence, but I love it. Perspirational. Is it going to make you really work? Sweat, collective input. And we're dealing with this right now at Kane as we're building our vision for the future. We need to talk to people. We need to talk to local businesses. We need to talk to the local chamber of commerce. We need to talk to the municipality people. We need to talk to our faculty. We need to talk to our students. We need everyone's input so that we see what we're potentially capable of. But this is not a democracy. I'm not going to have everyone vote on what our vision is. It has to be leadership driven. So we want the input. We want to have all those ideas and we want to be able to craft that. But I'm not going to say, okay, who says yes, we're going to do this, and who says no? No, the leadership has to then say, okay, based on everything we know, this is our vision. And that does not happen in all organizations. I hope you can see how that can be a challenge. It needs to be unique. We cannot adopt Montclair's vision statement. We can't adopt Rutgers Business School's vision statement. It has to be based on our DNA, who we are, who we serve, where we are. It has to be clearly us. And it has to be sustainable. Again, it can be green, but not necessarily. It needs to be something we can maintain into the future, sustainable. It can't be something that, hey, it was really good, but we can't afford it going forward. It's got to stop. So think about those as potential checklist items for evaluating a vision statement. Objectives. This comes up in the text, and I just want to make a couple little clarifications just so that hopefully makes sense. Objectives, there's 2 kinds, strategic objectives and financial objectives, and we need them both. Strategic objectives are usually something that aren't quite as measurable. Like we want to, let's start with financial objectives. We can usually put a number on these, usually a dollar value. We want to increase our revenue by this amount. We want to reduce our cost by this amount. We want to introduce a new product that will sell at this price. So there's usually a dollar associated with financial objectives. Strategic objectives capture everything else. So if I want to increase my market share by 8%, even though it's a number, that really belongs over with the strategic objective. I want to increase our number of programs or products offered by 8 or by 20%. I want to increase our locations by 80 each year. So these are more, they can be a little more qualitative, but they don't have dollars in them. As soon as we put a dollar number on it, it's a financial objectives. And we need to actually do both. And that's a challenge. That'll be a challenge for me as we put together a strategic plan, because here at Kane, we're going to be much more driven by strategic objectives than financial objectives. But there's normally something, and these financial objectives, either increasing revenue or decreasing costs, are going to determine how competitive I am in the future, how well I can lower my price or guarantee my price to my customers, and how well I can stay competitive with other competitors. So we really need both. Some will have more of one than the other, but really should be both in the mix. I stole this right out of the textbook because I thought it was so good. I'm going to be using these when I put together our strategic plan. The vision, I'm not going to read all these, but take a look at these. This is like table 2.1 and 2.2 in the text. This is something to consider when you do your homework. These are mistakes that people make all the time. I think this is a mistake we made with our current vision statement. It just doesn't paint a picture. It's too wordy. It's not focused enough. So just some really good, I'm just strongly recommending those two tables. Here's the second one. Feasible. Is this something that people look at and go, oh, that's never going to happen. I'm going to focus somewhere else. It has to be something where people look at and go, yeah, that's where we want to be. I'm behind it. I'm with this. I want to be the strongest higher education 4-year degree program in the state. That's within our grasp. It's reasonable. We need to do a lot to get there, but over 5 years, over 8 years, over 10 years, we could be that school. We're positioned really well to get there. It's feasible. It's going to be hard. Again, these come out memorable. We've got a big old 0 on that one. I turn these into, and I would recommend you consider this for your homework assignment, is to build your own little rubric, simple like this. You don't have to use these words, but based on all the questions I've thrown at you today, the 2 tables I just showed you, maybe you could pick the 5 or 6 things that really resonate most with you about making a good vision statement and put them here and just do a simple 1 to 5 rating, with 5 being the best and 1 being the worst. When we look at a sample company, is it feasible? 1 to 5. Write some comments. It's not feasible. This is impossible for what they're doing. The competition's too tough. The world's changing too much, etc. Aspirational means, is it a stretch? Yeah, I would say with ours, it's probably a rating of 2, maybe 3 if I was being generous. It's just not that different from who we are. Clear roadmap. Is it obvious how we're going to get there? Are there things we can reasonably do to do that? Is it memorable? Is it concise? You could switch these out or use your others, but think about organizing your thoughts, because I'm picturing myself reading your 20 homeworks, your assignments, where you're rating these 3 different organizations and just having just pages full of words. I think it's much more beneficial if you can use some rubrics, use some models to communicate that and put them right into your assignment. And then spend a few sentences discussing it, talking about how good it is, how bad it is, how exciting it is. That's great. But, think about using tools like this to organize your evaluation. Okay, here's ours. We aspire to be the college of choice. This is Kane's vision statement for the College of Business. We aspire to be the college of choice in our regions, recognized for global orientation, professional and experiential approach to management, education, and a steadfast commitment to diversity and inclusion. Does it cover these? These were the questions. Where do we compete? Where do we compete? Oh, there we go. In our regions. Nice. What unique value do we bring? Professional experiential approach. Okay, not bad, not real clear. Where's value in here? Where is cost? Maybe we're a little weak in that. What resources and capabilities do we utilize? Not quite feeling that. It's not clear. How do we sustain our value? Maybe a little weak. So think about that. Think about that matrix or rubric I showed you a minute ago. Could we pop that in here? There we go. Feasibility. Yeah, college of choice. That's pretty big undertaking, because I know a lot of people want to go to Rutgers. A lot of people want to go to University of Pennsylvania. Are we going to be the college of choice in our regions? Is that really feasible? Aspirational. That part's aspirational, but is the rest of it? Could we really be recognized for a global orientation, professional and experiential approach to management? Does anybody know what it means to have a professional and experiential approach to management? Especially experiential. That's really a lousy word, I think, for us to use. Clear roadmap. So think about doing this and making some adaptation of this for your homework assignment. Okay, final comments. Executing the strategic plan. Our course is about developing and executing, so we don't want to lose sight of that. Some of our later modules will get into that deeper, but be thinking about, we're just laying the groundwork here. It's got to be engaged with the people. You can't execute a strategic plan with one person. Everybody needs to know where we're going and how we're going to get there. And think about your faculty, the people that teach your courses. Their primary job is teach the courses and do their research. But on top of that, we're going to want to develop new programs. We're going to want to go out and meet with industry leaders and do these things. And so I'm going to be asking the faculty, yes, teach your course, but come with me to this meeting. Teach your course, but develop this new course and develop this new program. So everybody has to be on board because they're going to be doing their routine work and doing things that'll move us to completing our vision. What financial resources do we have? And going forward, as we make decisions, and we were working on our next year's budget over the last 60 days, and we were answering this question, what do we need to do to next year? How many new faculty do we need to hire? Where do we need to hire them? How much are they going to cost us in order to be where we want to be 3 years from now in excellence with new programs? Where are those people going to come from? And now we need to make budget decisions. And we're going to have to say no to some budget things so that we can afford what we feel like we need to do. So it's a lot of moving parts. Processes. How do we enroll students? How do we register students? How do we set up the schedule? All of those things need to be embedded in our execution. Monitoring. How's it going? Are we making progress on it? How often are we going to monitor it? Is it going to be monthly or quarterly or each semester? How are we going to measure if we're making progress on our strategic plan? And then are we adapting to change? And literally, I think for ours, I'm going to have a meeting every quarter with key leadership and key faculty, and we're going to have to look at our strategic plan and say, has something changed? Did we find a new opportunity that's not in the strategic plan? Did we start to explore something we found out it's not going to work? So we're going to need to delete that one and drop it. So we're probably going to have to meet on a regular basis, not too often, but enough that we can make adjustments. So think about that. You'll see that come out in the text. Shoo! So threw a lot at you. I hope it starts out. You probably haven't even had a chance yet to take a look at the chapters, but these are some highlights from it. This is not the whole chapter, but some of the things I thought I could bring some clarity to. I know we have 2 discussion forums this week. One is about, well, I think we have 2, maybe the next one's next week, but check the discussion forums. I know there's an introduction one. I want to hear who you are and why you're here and what you're excited about. So it'll help me structure the rest of the course. If there's any other discussion due, which I just don't have it on my screen right now, make sure that's done on time. I know there's a quiz out there based on the first 2 chapters. I took the quiz myself to make sure I was understanding what was being presented in the chapters. These are some challenging questions, so make sure you've looked at the chapter. The other thing I'll say is about the homework assignment and any assignments going forward. Don't shoot from the hip. Don't just go, oh, I know this strategy stuff. I can just write 6 paragraphs, no problem. Don't do that. It's going to be a B or a C. I want to see that you're using the information that's coming from the lecture, live lecture, using the information that's coming from any of the course materials and being able to apply them. So if you do your homework and you hammer out your 1 page, 2 pages, or 3 pages, and you don't use the terminology that we've discussed, you don't use the models and the examples to kind of build out your thinking and show me that you can actually use this content, it's going to show up in the grades and it's going to be B's and C's. If you're expecting A's in this, you're going to have to bring it all together and really illustrate your mastery. I would say that would be the level of the content. If you get B's, that's cool. But if you really think you're getting an A, you're going to have to really bring all of that together and show me in the assignments because we're not working together in class, so it's not quite as interactive. And I know we're up on our time. Was there anything you wanted to throw back? Any specific question? I am going to schedule office hours later this week. I'll put an announcement up on that so we can talk more during that. But did anything come to mind from anything I've thrown at you so far?
I have a question
No, go ahead.
regarding the homework.
Yes.
There is other, like in the link in McGraw-Hill, also when we enter, there is a homework for the chapter 1, 20 questions. So we also need to answer those questions?
Yeah, that's a quiz. And those are embedded every week. And those are
Okay.
just based on the chapters and the assigned readings to make sure you're keeping up on the readings. So absolutely. Every week there'll be a discussion board. Every week there'll be some type of a quiz. Maybe they called it an assignment, but basically it's a 10 or 12 question quiz, multiple choice. And there'll be some type of a homework activity, which if I recall correctly from this week, and the course has been pre-built. And I know that my colleague who built this course for us, so I don't get to choose any of this. I just have to execute them and manage them and prepare you as best I can for them. So I'll be looking at the assignments each week so I can help interpret them for you and answer any questions you have.
Great, thanks.
And the one thing to keep in mind on discussion boards, and I hope we just have the introduction discussion board this week, is normally you need to do your initial post to the discussion by the end of the second day, so tomorrow at midnight. And then you have the rest of the week until the module ends to do 3 more follow-ups, replying to your colleagues' posts. Homeworks and the quizzes are due by the last day of the module. So for us, that would be next Sunday night. No, this is Monday. Next Saturday night at midnight, because we're doing 6-day modules. So watch those dates. Hope that helps. Feel free to message me. I'll be scheduling my office hours. Just got to get a look at my calendar. I'll get that straightened out yet this afternoon. I'll put an announcement out. I may have to do a different time this week just because I have, I think, a little bit of a conflict, but I'll double check that. But I want to make sure that I'm available, especially as we start out. Make sure you get Connect because it will not allow you to complete the assignments without Connect. So that's how this course is built. But let me know if you have any questions on that. And
Another one. Sorry. The ID for Connect. So you provide one ID, but also in the link that we have in Canvas, there is another ID. Doesn't matter. It's the same. We can just go with the one in Canvas.
You can go with the one in Canvas. There are multiple ways to get your Connect, and I think they use the word code. I generally found it, so look around carefully before you click the buy button. The university bookstore has it, but historically they charge significantly more than other sources. I found in the past that the McGraw-Hill Direct, either through whatever I gave you or whatever else you can find, getting it from McGraw-Hill is usually the lowest cost alternative. But make sure you're getting a Connect ID or Connect code. You got me saying ID now. Make sure you're getting a Connect code and not just an ebook code, because ebook is not enough to complete the assignments for this course. You have to have Connect code.
Does the one that you sent has the Connect?
I believe it does, but it's been evolving over the last couple of days because I've been back and forth with Kane Online. But when you click on the link and go in, it has a menu. I believe it brings up a set of choices: ebook, rental, or Connect, or something like that. But make sure you're looking at the Connect one.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? I appreciate you guys coming out. I heard from other faculty, it's like nobody shows up for the live session, and you're welcome. I know people have busy schedules. I'm glad to see some of you here. 4 out of my 19 students. That's great. I hope it was valuable for you. I will absolutely record and post these, so it's available to everyone. Join me anytime you can, and I hope I will have less materials going forward, so it's easier to take more questions and really discuss some of this a little bit more than just me dumping it on you. but it's only the first week. So I'm going to let you go from here. Good. Oh, I'll stop the share for immediately because that'll get the slides out of the way. Was there anything else I can cover for you before I let you go? All right. Well, I think it's going to be a really good course. I love this material. I'm glad we're covering it as part of the MBA. I think we got a good text, and I think we'll get a lot out of it. So for now, I'll let you go and hopefully be talking with you all soon on office hours or schedule with me as you need to.
Thank you.
All right. See you all.
Thank you for the lecture.